The Sol system had changed dramatically in the last century. Humanity, once confined to a single blue-green planet, had pushed outward with remarkable speed. Their first colonies on Mars had grown into bustling cities beneath transparent domes. Mining operations dotted the asteroid belt. Research stations orbited Jupiter and Saturn. And 10 years ago, the breakthrough came, faster than light travel. Ju Kim stood at the viewport of Harmony Station, Earth's orbital command center. She watched as the newest starship, the TSV Pathfinder, prepared for its maiden voyage to Proxima Centauri. "Admiral Kim, we have an anomaly," called out Lieutenant Do-Yun Park from his monitoring station. Ju turned, her expression calm despite the sudden tension in the room. "Show me." The main screen flickered to life, displaying a section of space near Neptune's orbit. Something was emerging, a ripple in space-time that shouldn't exist according to humanity's understanding of physics. Then a ship appeared. Unlike the sleek, practical designs of Earth vessels, this craft was enormous and adorned with intricate patterns that seemed to serve no functional purpose. "Unknown vessel," Do-Yun reported. "No match in our database. Energy readings are strange." Before Ju could respond, more ripples appeared. More ships, dozens of them. "Get me the president," Ju ordered. Within hours, the unthinkable had happened. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. The aliens called themselves the Galactic Hegemony, a coalition of 37 species who claimed dominion over most of the Milky Way. Their representatives, led by a tall, slender being named Talon, requested an immediate meeting with Earth's leaders. President Minji Lee welcomed them in the United Nations Assembly Hall in New York. The chamber was packed with government officials, scientists, and security personnel. Cameras broadcast the historic event worldwide. Talon spoke in a melodious voice, translated by devices his delegation provided. "We have observed your rapid technological advancement with great interest. Few species progress from primitive flight to faster-than-light travel in less than 2 centuries. President Lee smiled diplomatically. "We're honored by your visit. This is a momentous day for humanity." "Indeed," Talon replied. "However, we must address certain concerns. Young species require guidance to join the galactic community. The hegemony provides this guidance through a series of protocols and restrictions." The smile faded from President Lee's face. "Restrictions." Talon produced a data tablet. "Your FTL drives must be modified to our specifications. Your weapons development must cease. Your colonization efforts must be approved by our council. And Earth must accept a hegemony governor to oversee compliance." A murmur spread through the assembly. President Lee maintained her composure. "Ambassador Talon, while we appreciate your visit, Earth is a sovereign world. We cannot accept external governance." Talon's expression hardened. "This is not a request, President Lee. The hegemony maintains galactic peace through order. Your cooperation is expected." The meeting ended with tense formalities. As the alien delegation departed, Ju approached the president. "Madame President, we need to talk. Privately." In a secure room beneath the UN building, Admiral Kim, Intelligence Director Do-Yun Park, and Chief Scientist Junho Lee gathered with the president and her closest advisors. "What's your assessment, Admiral?" the president asked. Ju activated a holographic display. "Their ships are impressive, but their technology is predictable. They use gravitational manipulation for propulsion, similar to our early FTL prototypes from 20 years ago." 20 years ago, President Lee frowned. "But we've moved well beyond that." "Exactly," Ju nodded. "They don't know about phase shift drives or quantum barrier shields. They think we're still using the technology we publicly acknowledge." Chief Scientist Junho pulled up schematics of Earth's true military capabilities. The secret fleet hidden in the shadow of Jupiter, the defense platforms disguised as research stations, the weapons that could reshape matter at the subatomic level. After the climate wars, Junho explained, Earth's governments made a unified decision. Our most advanced technology would remain classified. It appears the hegemony has been monitoring our public achievements, not our classified ones. Intelligence Director Doyan added, their society is hierarchical and expansionist. They're used to species submitting without resistance. They believe they're offering us a generous arrangement. President Lee's expression grew serious. Options. We could reveal our true capabilities, Ju suggested, but that might provoke them. Better to maintain the illusion while we assess their intentions. I agree, said Doyan. Let's play the role of the naive younger species while we gather intelligence. The president stood, decision made. We'll respond diplomatically but firmly. We won't accept their terms, but we won't threaten them either. Meanwhile, activate all hidden defenses and recall our deep space vessels. If this turns hostile, I want us ready. 3 days later, President Lee delivered Earth's official response to Ambassador Talon. The message was clear. Earth welcomed peaceful relations, but would not surrender its sovereignty. Talon received the message aboard his vessel. His aides watched nervously as he processed Earth's refusal. They don't understand their position, Talon said finally. They believe they can stand against the hegemony with their primitive technology and limited fleet. His second-in-command, Dovin, seemed uncertain. Their advancement rate is unusual. Perhaps caution. No, Talon interrupted. The Council has been clear. Earth must be integrated properly. Prepare a formal ultimatum. They will comply, or we will demonstrate why the hegemony has ruled the stars for 10,000 years. As Talon's message was transmitted to Earth, Admiral Ju Kim stood in the command center of Harmony Station. Silent alerts flashed across her terminal. Throughout the Sol system, hidden defensive systems were coming online. Earth's true fleet was moving into position. They're making a mistake, Doyan said, standing beside her. Jiwoo nodded. They believe we're children playing with technology we barely understand. Should we warn them? Jiwoo watched as the sensors tracked more hegemony ships arriving at the edge of the system. No, let them think what they want. If they push this to conflict, they'll learn the truth soon enough. Across the planet below, humans went about their daily lives, unaware of the coming storm. But in secure facilities around the world, military personnel prepared for what might come. The public knew that humanity had taken its first steps into the stars. What they didn't know was how far those steps had really gone. The hegemony thought they were dealing with novices. They would soon discover just how wrong they were. The Earth delegation sat quietly in the grand meeting chamber aboard the hegemony flagship. Gleaming metal walls rose high overhead, decorated with symbols representing the 37 species of the galactic hegemony. Ambassador Talon stood at the center, his tall form casting a long shadow across the polished floor. The Hegemony Council has reviewed your response, Talon announced. We find it unacceptable. President Minji Lee maintained a composed expression. Beside her, Admiral Ju Kim watched the alien representatives carefully, noting their positions, their weapons, their technology. We regret that our position disappoints you, President Lee replied. But Earth's sovereignty is not negotiable. Talon's eyes narrowed. You misunderstand, President Lee. This is not a negotiation. He activated a holographic display showing hundreds of warships gathering at the edge of the Sol system. The hegemony has maintained galactic order for 10,000 years. We will not allow a single primitive world to disrupt that order. The Earth delegation exchanged glances. None appeared frightened. You have 3 Earth days to reconsider, Talon continued. Accept our terms or face the consequences. The hegemony's enforcement fleet will enter your system and establish control with or without your cooperation. President Lee stood. We will deliver our final response within your time frame, Ambassador. But I urge you to consider peaceful coexistence instead of threats. As the Earth delegation departed, Dovin approached Talon. The humans show unusual confidence for a species facing our fleet. Talon dismissed the concern with a wave. They are ignorant of their position. Our intelligence confirms their military technology is basic. Their entire defense fleet consists of 50 vessels, none of which match even our smallest cruisers. Back on Earth, the Security Council gathered in an underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains. The room buzzed with activity as military and intelligence personnel prepared for potential conflict. The hegemony fleet consists of 300 vessels, Admiral Kim reported, displaying tactical information on the main screen. They're currently holding position just beyond Pluto's orbit. Can we match that? Asked President Lee. Intelligence Director Do-Yeon Park stepped forward. Not in numbers, Madam President, but our technology provides significant advantages they're unaware of. He brought up detailed scans of the hegemony ships. Their weapons are energy-based, similar to our early plasma cannons. Their shields use gravitational manipulation, advanced by most standards, but we surpassed this level of technology 15 years ago. Admiral Kim nodded. We've been monitoring their communications. They genuinely believe we're a pre-expansion civilization that got lucky with FTL development. What about our defense capabilities? Asked the President. The Jupiter defense grid is fully operational, replied Admiral Kim. All 50 of our visible vessels are combat-ready, and our hidden fleet of 120 advanced warships is standing by. The orbital platforms appear to be research stations, but can deploy our full defensive capabilities within seconds. Chief Scientist Junho Lee cleared his throat. Madam President, we should consider revealing our true technological status. It might prevent bloodshed, or it might accelerate their timeline, countered Do-Yeon. The hegemony has conquered species more advanced than they believe us to be. If they know our true capabilities, they might strike immediately with everything they have. President Lee considered this. We'll make one final diplomatic effort. Prepare a response offering mutual recognition and non-interference. Make it clear we desire peace, but will defend ourselves if necessary. Aboard the hegemony command ship, Talon received Earth's response with growing irritation. They still refuse our terms, he told the assembled commanders. They offer mutual recognition, as if they were our equals. Commander Ryan, leader of the enforcement fleet, laughed. Their arrogance will make their submission all the more satisfying. My fleet stands ready to enter their system. Proceed as planned, Talon ordered. Enter their system, neutralize their defensive capabilities, and secure their orbital infrastructure. Minimal casualties if possible. They will be more valuable as productive members of the hegemony. As the massive hegemony fleet began moving toward the inner Sol system, Earth's apparent defense force took position near Mars. 50 ships arranged in a standard defensive formation, a pitiful display against the approaching armada. From the bridge of the TSV Vigilant, Admiral Kim watched the enemy approach. Her ship appeared outdated by design, its true capabilities hidden beneath conventional exteriors. All ships reporting ready. Admiral, her communications officer reported. Defense grid is armed but remains in stealth mode. Kim nodded. Open a channel to the hegemony fleet. On the main view screen, Commander Ryan appeared, his expression smug. This is your final opportunity to surrender, humans. Your paltry defense force cannot hope to stand against us. Admiral Kim's expression remained neutral. Commander, we have no desire for conflict. We ask that you respect our sovereignty and withdraw your forces. Ryan laughed. Your bravery is admirable but misplaced. Prepare to be boarded and controlled. The channel closed. Admiral Kim turned to her crew. Battle stations. Maintain defensive posture. Do not reveal advanced capabilities unless directly engaged. Throughout the Sol system, hidden sensors tracked the hegemony fleet's advance. In secret bunkers on Earth, billions of humans watched the situation unfold on their news feeds, unaware of the true nature of Earth's defenses. President Lee addressed the United Nations. Fellow citizens of Earth, we face a challenge unprecedented in human history. An alien power seeks to subjugate our world and restrict our future. We have attempted diplomacy, but it appears conflict may be unavoidable. Her words were calm, reassuring, betraying none of the strategic advantages Earth secretly held. Should conflict occur, she continued, I want to assure everyone that Earth is prepared. We will defend our home. In space, the Hegemony fleet approached Mars orbit, their weapons powered up, targeting systems locking onto the seemingly outmatched Earth vessels. Commander Ryan addressed his fleet. Target their command vessels first. Once their leadership is eliminated, the rest will surrender quickly. Aboard the Vigilant, Admiral Kim received the final communication from Earth. A simple message from President Lee. Defend, do not destroy. Kim acknowledged the order and turned to her tactical officer. They've made their choice. Prepare for defensive action only. Remember, we want to end this quickly with minimal loss of life. As the first Hegemony ships moved into firing range, tension filled both fleets. The Hegemony forces expected quick victory against a primitive opponent. Earth's defenders knew the truth that was about to be revealed. The moment of truth had arrived. Humanity's true capabilities would soon be demonstrated, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Hegemony fleet advanced toward Mars with overwhelming confidence. 300 warships against Earth's pitiful 50. Commander Ryan stood tall on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominant. Victory screens displayed the Earth vessels, analyzing their outdated designs and primitive weapon systems. Pitiful, he remarked to his second-in-command. Their ships still use external thrusters. The Earth fleet held position, seemingly accepting their doom. From the Vigilant, Admiral Joo Kim sent a final message. Hegemony fleet, this is your only warning. Withdraw immediately. Laughter filled the Dominant's bridge. They threaten us. Commander Ryan shook his head. Open fire. Target their flagship first. Brilliant energy beams lanced out from 20 Hegemony vessels, converging on the Vigilant. The bridge crew on the Dominant leaned forward eagerly, expecting to see the Earth ship explode into fragments. Instead, something impossible happened. Just before impact, a shimmering field appeared around the Vigilant. The energy beams didn't explode against it like they would against normal shields. Instead, they simply vanished. Silence fell across the Dominant's bridge. What happened? Demanded Ryan. Where did our weapons fire go? His tactical officer stared at his instruments in confusion. Unknown, Commander. They're shields. They're like nothing we've encountered. Before Ryan could respond, Admiral Kim's voice came through the communication system again. That was your warning. We will now demonstrate our actual capabilities. We have no desire to harm your crews. Suddenly, alarms blared across the Hegemony fleet. 30 of their ships reported complete power failures. Systems shut down. Weapons went offline. Life support remained functioning, but nothing else. What's happening? Ryan shouted as reports flooded in. On his tactical display, he watched in horror as Earth's ships began to move. They no longer drifted like primitive vessels. They moved with impossible speed and precision, darting between Hegemony ships without using visible propulsion. Scan them again, Ryan ordered. His science officer shook his head. Our scanners can't penetrate their hulls anymore. It's like they just activated technologies we can't even detect. Admiral Kim watched the Hegemony fleet from the Vigilance bridge. Phase 2, she ordered calmly. Throughout the Sol system, objects that had appeared to be simple asteroids or research stations began to move. Hidden defense platforms activated, revealing advanced weapon systems. A second Earth fleet emerged from behind Jupiter's moons, ships that hadn't appeared on any Hegemony scans. On the Dominant, Ryan stared at his displays in disbelief. Impossible. Where did those come from? His tactical officer's voice trembled. Commander, we're being surrounded. Another 30 Hegemony ships suddenly lost power. No explosions, no casualties, just complete system failures. Earth ships moved through the Hegemony fleet with surgical precision. Instead of destroying enemy vessels, they simply neutralized them. Specialized energy pulses disabled weapons and engines while leaving life support intact. They could destroy us, Ryan realized aloud. But they're choosing not to. On the Vigilant, Admiral Kim kept her orders clear and concise. Disable, don't destroy. Remember, they thought they were dealing with primitives. This is as much shock as it is combat. Earth fighters, smaller than the hegemony could track effectively, darted between the larger alien vessels. They fired precision weapons that cut power couplings and disabled weapon systems without breaching hulls. Within 30 minutes, 1/3 of the hegemony fleet floated powerless. Not a single life had been lost. Aboard the Dominant, Commander Ryan faced a decision he never expected to make. His tactical systems showed the truth. The humans had been holding back. Way back. Their technology wasn't just superior. It was generations ahead of what the hegemony possessed. Send emergency signal to the Hegemony Council, Ryan ordered. Request immediate reinforcements. His communications officer tried repeatedly. Sir, our long-range communications are being blocked. For the first time in his career, Ryan felt real fear. He opened a channel to the Earth flagship. Admiral Kim, he said, trying to maintain dignity. You've made your point. Let us discuss terms. Kim's face appeared on his screen, her expression neutral. Commander Ryan, we attempted to discuss terms 3 days ago. Your ambassador dismissed our sovereignty. You entered our system with hostile intent. We underestimated you, Ryan admitted. Yes, Kim agreed simply. You did. Around them, more hegemony ships lost power. Earth vessels continued their efficient, non-lethal assault. What do you want? Ryan asked finally. The same thing we wanted before, Kim replied. Recognition of Earth's sovereignty. Withdrawal of your forces. Peaceful relations between equals. Ryan looked around his bridge. His officers watched him, waiting for direction. His mighty fleet was being systematically disabled without a single casualty. The humans could have destroyed them all, but chose precision instead. I will order all functioning vessels to withdraw beyond your system boundary, he said finally. Kim nodded. A wise decision. Your disabled ships will be towed to the boundary and provided enough power to return to your territory. As Ryan issued the retreat order, his science officer approached cautiously. Commander, she whispered, their technology. It shouldn't be possible. Their ships are absorbing our energy weapons somehow. And look, she showed him sensor readings. No visible engines, yet they move faster than our best cruisers. Their hulls block all our scans. Ryan stared at the data. How did we miss this? Our intelligence said they were barely past planetary development. On the Vigilant, Admiral Kim received reports from across the Sol system. The defense had worked perfectly. 100 hegemony ships disabled, the rest retreating. 0 casualties on either side. Message from Earth Command, her communications officer reported. President Lee sends her congratulations. Kim nodded. Send a team to the disabled hegemony flagship. Invite Commander Ryan to meet with me. It's time he understood who he's dealing with. As Earth vessels efficiently rounded up the disabled hegemony ships, humans across the solar system celebrated. News broadcasts showed carefully edited footage of the Battle of Mars, as it was already being called. For security reasons, the public wasn't shown the full extent of Earth's technological capabilities, but they understood the essential truth. Humanity had stood against an alien threat and prevailed. In a secure conference room aboard the Vigilant, Admiral Kim prepared to meet Commander Ryan. On a nearby display, she watched as Intelligence Director Do-Yeon Park briefed captured hegemony officers on the actual state of human technological development. Their expressions of shock told the story. The galactic hegemony had made a serious miscalculation, one that would reshape the power structure of the entire galaxy. Commander Ryan sat stiffly in the meeting room aboard the Vigilant. The chamber looked nothing like he expected. Instead of primitive controls and basic technology, he found himself surrounded by systems beyond his understanding. Holographic displays floated without projectors. Surfaces shifted and changed without mechanical means. Admiral Kim entered, accompanied by Intelligence Director Do-Yeon Park. They took seats across from Ryan and his science officer. "Your ships," Ryan began, unable to contain his confusion. "Your technology. It's impossible." Kim smiled slightly. "Not impossible, just hidden." Do-Hyun placed a small device on the table. It projected a detailed hologram of the Sol system, showing the true extent of Earth's defenses. Hundreds of platforms disguised as asteroids, shipyards hidden within Saturn's rings, energy arrays embedded in Jupiter's moons. "This is what you actually faced," Do-Hyun explained. "Not 50 ships, but a fully integrated defense network spanning our entire system." Ryan stared at the display. "How?" "Our intelligence reports were based on what we allowed you to see," Kim finished for him. "We detected your observation probes years ago. We've been controlling the information you received." In a secure holding area, 20 captured hegemony officers watched a presentation delivered by Chief Scientist Jun-Ho Lee. On a large screen, he showed them the history they hadn't known, the true path of human technological development. 70 years ago, Jun-Ho explained, Earth faced a crisis. Climate change, resource depletion, and political tensions brought us to the brink of extinction. The screen showed images of flooded cities, massive storms, and refugee camps. But crisis forced innovation, Jun-Ho continued. In our darkest hour, we achieved our greatest breakthroughs. The images shifted to laboratories, massive research complexes, and the first prototype of a technology the hegemony had never seen: quantum field manipulation. "We discovered that reality is more malleable than previously thought," Jun-Ho explained. "Matter, energy, even space itself could be manipulated at the quantum level. This led to a technological revolution unlike anything in our history." The hegemony officers watched with growing amazement as Jun-Ho revealed technologies they had believed impossible. Ships that could phase partially out of normal space, weapons that didn't destroy matter, but simply reorganized it, energy systems that drew power directly from quantum fluctuations. Back in the meeting room, Do-Hyun showed Commander Ryan a timestamp of the hegemony's first observation probe entering the Sol system. "You began watching us 30 years ago," Do-Hyun said. "By then, our greatest advances were already classified. What you saw was what we wanted the public to see, a carefully maintained illusion of gradual progress." "But why?" asked Ryan's science officer. "Why hide your capabilities?" Admiral Kim leaned forward. "Because of entities exactly like the hegemony. We discovered the true nature of existence and realized we might not be alone. We decided that if we encountered other civilizations, we would approach carefully. When your probe arrived," Do-Hyun added, "we debated revealing ourselves. But we monitored its transmissions back to hegemony space. We learned about your empire, your history of subjugating lesser species, so we maintained the deception." Commander Ryan's face showed his growing understanding. "You let us believe you were vulnerable." Kim nodded. "We hoped for peaceful contact. We were disappointed." In a separate briefing room, Do-Hyun's assistant showed another group of hegemony officials footage from Earth's recent history. The unified world government forming after the climate crisis, the public space program that served as cover for the classified military developments, the carefully maintained fiction of a species just taking its first steps into space. "While your people saw this," the assistant explained, showing images of Earth's first Mars colony with its seemingly primitive dome structures, the reality was this. The image shifted to show vast underground complexes beneath the Martian surface, quantum laboratories, and advanced manufacturing facilities, hidden from orbital observation. One hegemony officer spoke up. "You could have destroyed our entire fleet." "Yes," the assistant acknowledged. "But that's not who we are." On the Vigilance observation deck, Admiral Kim stood with Commander Ryan, looking out at the disabled hegemony vessels being towed by Earth ships. "Your weapons," Ryan said, still trying to understand. "They didn't just disable our systems. They restructured them somehow." Kim nodded. "Quantum field manipulation. We don't destroy matter. We reorganize it. Your ship's power cores weren't damaged. Their atomic structure was temporarily reconfigured to prevent energy flow. Ryan turned to face her. And you can restore them just as easily. Yes. Your crews will return home safely. To report our failure, Ryan said grimly. To report the truth, Kim corrected. That Earth is not what the hegemony thought. That we seek peaceful relations, but we will not be conquered. Across hegemony space, reports of the defeat spread rapidly. The Council, gathered in their grand chamber on the capital world, received the first transmissions with disbelief. Impossible, declared Council leader Maison. A primitive world cannot defeat our fleet. But the evidence was undeniable. Sensor logs, visual recordings, and preliminary reports from returning vessels all confirmed the shocking truth. The humans possessed technology far beyond what the hegemony had believed possible. They could have annihilated our forces, reported Admiral Velix, the hegemony's chief military strategist. Instead, they disabled our ships without casualties. This suggests they value life and prefer diplomacy to war. Or they're showing restraint to hide even greater capabilities, suggested another council member. The chamber fell silent as they considered the implications. For 10,000 years, the hegemony had expanded through intimidation and technological superiority. Now they faced a species that had hidden its true development, that possessed technology the hegemony's best scientists couldn't comprehend. On Earth, President Lee addressed the United Nations. The chamber erupted in applause as she announced the hegemony's retreat. Today, humanity stood united against an external threat, she declared. We demonstrated not just our technical prowess, but our values. We defended ourselves without taking lives. We showed strength without brutality. In orbit above Earth, Do-Hyun met with a small delegation of hegemony officials who had requested to remain behind as liaisons. You understand, he told them, this changes everything. The hegemony can no longer approach Earth as a superior power. We must establish relations as equals. The lead diplomat nodded slowly. The Council is adjusting to this new reality. It will not be easy. Our entire civilization is built on the premise of our technological superiority. Do-Hyun smiled slightly. Perhaps it's time for a new premise. As the disabled hegemony ships reached the edge of the Sol system, Earth technicians restored their power. One by one, they departed, carrying with them knowledge that would shake the foundations of galactic politics. 6 months after the Battle of Mars, a single Earth ship entered the space around Meridian, the hegemony's capital world. Unlike the utilitarian vessels the hegemony had first observed, this ship made no attempt to hide its advanced nature. The TSV diplomat glided through space without visible propulsion, its hull shimmering with subtle energy patterns. President Min-ji Lee stood on the bridge, flanked by Admiral Ju Kim and Intelligence Director Do-Hyun Park. Through the viewports, they could see the massive orbital structures of the hegemony capital, space stations, defense platforms, and hundreds of ships. They've arranged quite the welcome, Do-Hyun noted, gesturing to the 40 warships escorting them. President Lee nodded. Half honor guard, half precaution. They're still trying to understand us. The Hegemony Council chamber was the largest enclosed space any human had ever seen. A vast dome stretched overhead, depicting the 37-member species in an elaborate mosaic. The circular chamber held thousands of representatives, with the 12-member High Council seated on an elevated platform in the center. As the Earth delegation entered, a hush fell over the assembly. President Lee walked confidently to the speaker's position, her small group looking tiny in the enormous space. Council leader Maison rose to greet them. Unlike Commander Ryan's arrogance months earlier, Maison's manner was cautious, respectful. President Lee of Earth, we welcome you to Meridian, he announced. The Hegemony Council recognizes Earth's sovereignty and extends formal diplomatic recognition. Polite applause followed, but tension filled the air. Everyone present knew this wasn't how the hegemony typically welcomed new species. President Lee stepped forward. Council Leader Maison, distinguished representatives, I bring greetings from Earth. We come not as conquerors or subjects, but as potential partners. She activated a small device, and a holographic display appeared above the chamber floor. Unlike standard hegemony technology, this projection was three-dimensional, interactive, and incredibly detailed. It showed a map of the galaxy with trade routes, resource deposits, and cultural centers marked. For centuries, the hegemony has maintained what you call galactic order, Lee continued. A system where advanced species govern those deemed less developed, where technology is controlled and distributed according to status. Several council members shifted uncomfortably. We propose an alternative, Lee said. A galactic community based on cooperation rather than dominance. Equal exchange of ideas rather than mandated limitations. From their gallery seats, representatives of species long subjugated by the hegemony listened with growing interest. Many had been classified as developmental species, denied access to advanced technology, and confined to their home systems. Earth does not seek to replace the hegemony's authority with our own, Lee assured them. We seek to transform how species interact. Technology should elevate all civilizations, not serve as a tool of control. In a private chamber adjacent to the council hall, Admiral Kim met with military leaders from 12 species. Unlike the public session, this meeting addressed security concerns directly. We have no desire for military confrontation, Kim explained. The demonstration at Mars was defensive only. Yet it revealed capabilities far beyond our understanding, remarked Admiral Velix. Many fear what else you might be concealing. Kim nodded. Fear is natural when facing the unknown. But consider our actions, not your fears. We disabled your ships without casualties. We restored them and allowed them to return home. We come here today with a single diplomatic vessel. What guarantees do we have that Earth won't simply replace the hegemony as the dominant power? Asked another military leader. None, Kim admitted honestly, except our consistent behavior and our proposal for a new form of galactic governance, one where no single species holds authority over others. The military leaders exchanged glances. Kim's candor was unusual in hegemony politics, where deception and positioning were the norm. Meanwhile, Intelligence Director Do Yun met with representatives from species classified as developmental by the hegemony. Unlike the main chamber's formality, this gathering had an atmosphere of barely contained excitement. For generations, we've been told we weren't ready for advanced technology, said Laren, representative of the Nevan people. That we needed hegemony guidance and restriction. Earth faced similar demands, Do Yun reminded them. We rejected them. But you had advanced technology to defend yourselves, Lyran pointed out. We do not. Do Yun smiled. Not yet. But Earth is proposing technology exchange programs open to all species, regardless of hegemony classification. The room erupted in excited conversation. For many of these species, the prospect of technological independence from the hegemony had seemed impossible just months ago. Back in the main chamber, President Lee concluded her presentation. We invite the hegemony to join us in creating this new galactic framework. Your experience in managing interspecies relations would be invaluable, but we will proceed with or without your participation. The chamber filled with murmurs. Council Leader Maison leaned forward. You speak of cooperation, President Lee, yet your words contain a clear threat. Not a threat, Lee clarified. A reality. Already, 17 species have expressed interest in direct relations with Earth outside hegemony protocols. The old order is changing, Council Leader. You can help shape what replaces it, or you can resist an inevitable transformation. In the weeks that followed, the hegemony experienced political upheaval unlike anything in its 10,000-year history. The Council split between traditionalists who viewed Earth as a threat to be contained and progressives who saw opportunity in the proposed new framework. Meanwhile, Earth established direct diplomatic relations with 23 species, many of whom had chafed under hegemony restrictions for centuries. Technology exchange began, carefully managed to prevent military applications while enabling development. 3 months after the Meridian Conference, a new alliance was formalized. The Galactic Cooperative included Earth and 32 former hegemony members. Even several hegemony council species joined, breaking with their government. On the observation deck of Earth's new embassy on Meridian, Ambassador Talon, once the voice of hegemony authority, stood with President Lee, watching ships from dozens of worlds move through space around them. "I never imagined such change could happen so quickly," Talon admitted. "Change was already coming," Lee replied. "We simply accelerated it." Talon turned to face her. "When we first encountered Earth, we saw a primitive world reaching beyond its capabilities. We thought we were offering guidance to children. A common mistake," Lee noted. "Assuming difference means inferiority." "We mistook your patience for weakness," Talon said thoughtfully. "Your restraint for fear, your diplomacy for submission." Lee smiled. "A mistake we hope won't be repeated." "The hegemony ruled through power and fear for 10 millennia," Talon said. "Your approach, cooperation, mutual advancement, shared defense, it challenges everything we believed about galactic governance." "Sometimes the oldest civilizations have the most to learn," Lee suggested. In orbit above Earth, Admiral Kim oversaw the commissioning of the first Joint Defense Fleet, ships staffed by crews from 12 different worlds. No longer hidden, Earth's technology now formed the foundation of a shared defense network spanning hundreds of star systems. "We never wanted conquest," Kim told the assembled commanders. "We wanted exploration, discovery, the freedom to determine our own path. Now we extend that same freedom to others." Across the galaxy, species that had lived under hegemony control for generations experienced a renaissance of cultural and technological development. Earth scientists worked alongside researchers from dozens of worlds, sharing knowledge rather than restricting it. The old hegemony still existed, diminished but adapting. Some predicted conflict would eventually come between the old order and the new. But for now, a fragile peace held, built not on intimidation, but on mutual respect and shared goals. Humanity had changed the galaxy not through conquest, but by offering an alternative. Not through destruction, but through creation. The stars, once dominated by a single vision of order, now pulsed with the energy of many civilizations charting their own courses together.